Hey everybody. So if you missed the first video, I guess this would be the second video. Doesn't matter what order you watch it in, but if you're interested in Faraway Land Adventures in the Materiosphere in the Kickstarter, which is going to launch in September of this year, in this year's 2021, then I would suggest going back and watching the first video because it breaks down the table of contents in the book, what the book, everything in the book, and then also the Kickstarter project. I'm going to send reminders and everything, but if you're interested, I would watch that video. This video, however, is going to be more focused on some of the nuance of the Faraway Land universe, specifically a brief history of space travel. And so what I want to do is sort of give a really quick breakdown of space travel, how it came about, and then how it works in games. So I guess I'll start right back at the beginning. So when the universe was created, there were these two entities that survived the collapse of the old universe and were birthed from a cosmic egg in the new universe. These entities were called Ith and Yod, and they each had different attributes. Ith and Yod were essentially lost in the new void of the new universe, and for a long time they just sort of roamed about in search of one another. And when they found each other, they merged together to form a giant cosmic rabbit called Orton the Omni-Hare. And Orton, in a very similar way to what Ith and Yod had gone through, was struggling with some internal struggles and conflicts as to what this place was and who they were and all these existential things. Eventually, Orton comes to this decision, and it dissipates into all of these smaller creatures, and these smaller creatures were called cosmic wanderers. And there's hundreds of thousands of these creatures, and they just sort of fly out into the void, each of them in search of different things. Some of them are creative, some of them are observant, some of them, they have different personalities. Excuse me, all of them based in derivatives of Orton the Omni-Hare, the giant cosmic space rabbit's personalities. One of these particular cosmic wanderers settles in in the space in the void, and eventually separates itself into six or seven different beings, the children of the cosmic wonder. And these sort of deities are who create the Materiosphere, where this adventures in the Materiosphere and Faraway Land and everything in the history and the lore of this world and this game exists. So these children of the cosmic wonder, they build this vast realm, and while they're building this vast realm, it becomes so big that it becomes incredibly time consuming to go from one side to the other side. And so they have their blacksmith, who we're looking at a picture of him here, Hom. He's in his cosmic chariot doing cosmic stuff. And his chariot's pulled by these Zoloths, but they have this. They have Hom build what is called second space, and it's a series of conduits that's sort of laid out within Materiospace, and it allows the children of the cosmic wonder to move much faster. They're able to go into these conduits and go from one place to the other place and Materiospace and do it fairly quickly. So one of the, and I won't go into detail on this right now. If people are interested, I can talk about it. I'm happy to, but one of the children of the cosmic wonder, Skullrocks, is a deceiver and deceives his siblings. And with this deception, he tries to separate them. And this is how these different planes or spheres of existence, the cryosphere and the galeosphere and the abysmal sphere, this is how these different spheres get created. It's because of Skullrocks trying to separate them so that he can sort of take over and gain and become the most powerful of them. But they find out about this, and when they find out about this, instead of destroy Skullrocks, what they decide to do is they decide to imprison Skullrocks. And so they ask Hom to go into second space, and with his pickaxe, he carves off a section of second space, and in his forge compresses it into what's called the Bitterstone, which is this stone that contains a singularity, and the singularity is essentially a black hole that Skullrocks is imprisoned in within this Bitterstone. And the Bitterstone, of course, is suspended at the center of the abysmal sphere, which is the sphere that Skullrocks created. And so when Hom does this, when he severs these conduits in second space, it sort of breaks down the connectivity of all the different areas within the Materiosphere. And so by the time you have, mortals that start, they're able to sort of project their minds across the Materiosphere, or project their bodies, or move their bodies through mental abilities through the Materiosphere and through second space. Everything is no longer connected. And really the big idea behind this is that I wanted to sort of have obstacles so that everything wasn't super easy to get to in the Materiosphere, that players and GMs are going to find that there's obstacles in doing some of these things, and just going from one side of Materiospace to the other just really isn't possible. And it's made even more difficult later on with the Boom War, because what happens with the Boom War is that the Boom are basically building this empire throughout the Materiosphere, and they use second space to move through at a rapid rate. When they build on faraway land and begin to occupy that world, they build these towers, and these towers allow them to open up conduits directly to a planet that they're invading, essentially. And when they do this, they activate these towers prematurely, because the giant snails that live underneath faraway land, which are the children of a sentient star, sapient star, the Atlantis rise up against the Boom, and in order to bring in reinforcements, the Boom activate ththese towers prematurely, and what it does is it causes a feedback loop through second space. So when Hom initially carved off a section of second space to create the Bitterstone to imprison Skull Rocks, you had a bunch of severing in second space. And when the Boom activate these towers prematurely, it creates this feedback loop that sort of ruptures second space for a second time. And so what you have in the moment, in the present, or contemporary faraway land times, is you have a second space that isn't nearly what it used to be. It's a bunch of conduits and tunnels that don't reach everywhere that they used to go. So you can't just jump into a second space conduit and go to the other side of the Materiosphere. It doesn't work like that anymore because of all the damage that's been done because of Hom and the Boom and feedback loops and all of that. So that's the nature of second space right now. So in order to move vast distances, you have to use second space. It's just too far to travel using a regular Materio ship and just going through Materiospace. So you have to be able to open second space and then create these portals to enter your ship into second space so that you can move through and then come back out somewhere else in the Materiosphere. And the way that works is when the universe was created by, when Ith and Yod created this music, as the void was being sort of built and they were coming to know who they were, and this music is something that permeates the entire Materiosphere. And there's people from all different species that can hear this music, and they're called virtuosos. And these virtuosos, over time, have learned to harness this music in what are called harmony drives, and they play these giant cosmic organs, and by doing this, they can essentially manipulate the music that is captured in these harmony drives and tear Materiospace to create these portals so that they can move through second space. And then while in second space, they do the same thing. They play these giant cosmic organs in order to rip open these fissures, these portals that allow them to move ships at much greater distances, much faster. So a lot of the emphasis in the book for certain types of characters is on being a virtuoso, like what that allows you to do. You can essentially navigate a Materio ship great distances, and you can hear Materio music, and you understand how to use these cosmic organs, and it's sort of a piece of the it's a major piece of the game that was difficult to work through, because I was trying to come up with something that made faster than light travel a little more unique. And I was thinking, and at the time I was reading the Silmarillion, and I decided, you know what, I love this idea of this idea of music. What if you could harness this music, and what if it allows you to tear open space? And so that's really where it came through. So that's sort of a really brief history of the Materiosphere, and I would like to do more videos where I go into much greater detail on this, but for now I'm just going to leave it at that. And it's also sort of a background in how faster than light travel or hyperspace travel or whatever works in the faraway land universe. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you got questions about it, feel free to ask, or shoot me an email or something, and I'll do my best to answer. Next video, I think we're going to talk about character creation in Adventures in the Materiosphere. So I'll see you then.